Hi there. I'm so excited to be here today, and I'm so excited to share my information. And I was able to figure out how to get my presentation up on a screen share. So I'm super excited about that. Hi, my name is Dr. Shiroko Sokitch. I'm the author of the book Healing When It Seems Impossible: 7 Keys to Defy the Odds. And I'm here today to talk to you about dehydration. I live in California, and dehydration is a big deal because of how dry and hot the weather gets, especially in the summer. And dehydration is a somewhat more convoluted subject. So I'm going to go over it in certain layers first. So, first of all, we think of dehydration as something that might not be a very big deal. Like make sure that we all know that we need to drink enough water, but you may not understand that if you don't drink enough water, certain systems in your body don't work right. And so it's really important to make sure that you stay hydrated. And honestly, drinking enough water is important, but in Chinese medicine, drinking water isn't quote unquote required unless you're thirsty. The problem is that when you get dehydrated, sometimes you're not thirsty. So it's there's an element where you have to keep on making sure that you get enough moisture in your body. And the ways to get moisture are by eating enough vegetables, by eating fruits and vegetables, by also drinking fluids. Although drinking fluids should not occur when you're eating. So a lot of people drink water when they eat their dinner. And what that does is reduce your stomach acid so that then your stomach doesn't work as well. So the best time to drink is when you're not eating. So an hour, half an hour before you eat, or 2 hours after you eat is the best time to drink fluids. But if you eat a moist diet, so like if you eat a lot of vegetables and fruits and salads and greens and moist foods, as opposed to chips, which are dry, or French fries, which are sort of dry and hot. So like just making sure that you eat the right foods will help you not get dehydrated. So I just want to talk about the symptoms of dehydration and see if I can make this a little bit bigger here. So the symptoms of dehydration might be that you have a hard time dragging yourself around. So you might feel this tiredness, but this kind of like where you feel like kind of limp and tired. Like, how when flowers start to wilt, where they sort of droop. That is the sensation of fatigue that I'm talking about, sort of this droopiness. You might get a headache. You might have dry skin. Dry skin would be more if you have a more chronic dehydration. But there's this sense. You see how my skin just kind of bounces back when I pull on it like this. You want your skin to bounce back, and if it doesn't, then it might be somewhat dehydrated already. You may actually begin to experience more thirst, but again, like I said, you may also not be thirsty, because when you get too dehydrated, you sometimes lose your thirst. You also sometimes lose your appetite when you get too dehydrated. Another hint is that you don't pee all day long. So you may notice when you do go to pee, your urine is really a dark color. Or if for more than 4 hours you don't have to pee, then you probably aren't getting enough fluid. And then the other symptom could be that you could get heart palpitations. So there's lots of possible symptoms. I'm going to move my face over here so that you can see the rest of my notes here. There are times where you could get into a situation of severe dehydration, where you're in like heat stroke or heat exhaustion. And those are dangerous. So you never want to get into that situation. But like, let's say you're out working in your yard, or you're out on a hike and you didn't bring enough water, and it gets really, really hot out there, and you just keep on moving and you begin to be more and more exhausted. You might start to feel extremely hot. People who get into heat exhaustion phase actually get a temperature of up to 103. So they can start to get really, really hot. And feel like they're cooking from the inside. So that's another symptom of too much dehydration. You can develop muscle twitches or muscle cramps. This can actually happen a little bit before you get really severe, but you could have like muscle cramps where your legs are cramping or your hands start to feel crampy, or any kind of twitching of muscles where they feel like they're firing too much. That's a sign of some chronic dehydration. When you get very severe, your skin can get hot and really dry. Like it feels like you're burning when you touch it. And again, that's a danger sign. Your pulse can become very, very fast because when you don't have enough fluid, your body's trying to circulate fluids, and so your pulse starts to get really fast because it's trying to keep up with the demand for fluids that your body has. You could get nauseated and even begin to throw up. If you get really, really severe, you could develop seizures. And you can also, like when you first start getting really hot, you might be sweating really a lot, but then at some point you might not be able to sweat anymore because your body's conserving your fluids so it won't let you sweat. You can also get into a confused or altered mental state. Your speech could become slurred. This is a reason that if you go on hikes in really hot weather, or you're out in nature in really hot weather, or you're out in your yard working in really hot weather, really just pay attention to yourself, or not be alone when you're doing this, so that you don't get into a state of not being able to function and not have somebody nearby to help you. Now, really the best way to manage all of this is to prevent it, to not let yourself get into a state of dehydration. And I always believe in preventive medicine, as you know. So here are some of the ways that you can prevent dehydration. First of all, to just make sure that you drink enough fluids throughout the day. And fluids include foods that are moist, like I said, like fresh fruits and vegetables, lots of vegetables. Vegetables are full of fluids. If you have a tendency to be dehydrated, even things like stir frying your vegetables, like in Chinese medicine, steaming your vegetables or boiling them is moister than stir frying. Frying food is more drying, more heat and generating. And so you might want to just lightly steam your vegetables, or eat salads or fresh fruits and things like that. They are moisturizing. And in certain ways, they're better than just drinking water, because drinking water is, drinking water isn't connected to anything else. And your cells like to have something to hang on to. So it's of course important to drink water throughout the day, but it is also important to eat plenty of moisturizing foods. There's recommendations for how much water you should drink a day, like 8 glasses a day is important to get. But some people, again, don't need that much. So you want to just set up a certain amount of water to make sure you do it. And one of the things that I do for myself that might help you is that I make sure when I first get up in the morning that I have 2 big things of water, like first thing, because when I make sure that I get that water first thing in the morning before I eat or drink anything else. I don't know if you all tried this before, but if you try that, what you may notice is that actually after drinking all that water, you still don't have to pee very much. And that's because it's making up for all the water you didn't drink throughout the night. And it's getting things mobilized and helping you detoxify. A lot of people tell you to drink lemon water first thing in the morning. And that's okay. You can drink lemon water, but I also recommend just plain old water, a big glass of plain old water. Actually, I try to drink 2 big glasses because it's the only time during the day that I actually have time to get down a lot of water. Because a lot of times when I'm working, I'm running from room to room, and uh, and when I'm running from room to room, I sometimes don't have time to drink. But I do make it my goal during work. Like I have a big jug of water at work too, and I make it my goal to get into my office and drink a couple of sips of water in between clients so that I also keep myself hydrated. And another thing about dehydration that's pretty important is that when you um, get dehydrated, just drinking water is not enough to solve it. And so I put a link here for some electrolytes. And it's really important to get enough electrolytes so that your chemistry can maintain itself. So when you drink a ton of water and you don't have enough electrolytes, then the water can cause swelling. And so you want to make sure that you get enough electrolytes. And again, when you eat moist foods like vegetables and fruits and things like that, or even, a big salad, there will be electrolytes in with the moisturizing. And so it's a more balanced way of getting enough electrolytes. But if you don't have that, then here's a link to order an electrolyte powder that you can add. I don't think Gatorade is a particularly good way to go because it's full of chemicals. And you don't really want to take a lot of chemicals when you're trying to take good care of your body. So that's an important piece. And another thing so the foods that are dehydrating are things like popcorn or chips or French fries, or really dry foods are more dehydrating because your body needs more fluids in order to break them down. Tea, black tea, coffee, alcohol drinks, those all cause more dehydration because your body needs more fluids in order, again, to break it down or to process it. So you want to make sure that if you're tending to be dehydrated, that you're not drinking coffee or black tea, caffeinated drinks, or alcohol in order to stay hydrated. Another drink that I really think is helpful is coconut water. Coconut water has come into the market in the last number of years as a way of hydrating or helping you get hydrated or remain hydrated. So that's a great way because, again, coconut water has those electrolytes that are necessary for you to be able to process your hydration. and yeah, and it has the electrolytes and it has the fluids, so it's a nice moisturizing liquid. Another drink that I think is decent is there's a company called Knutson. They make fruit juices, and they do have an electrolyte drink that is made from fruit juice. So again, it's a way to get hydrated and to keep yourself electrically balanced is how I would describe it. So that's another way to go. And I just want to share a story. Well, no, I'm not going to share that story. Sorry. Sorry about that. But like if you're being very athletic in the summer, like you're going out on a big bike ride or something like that, when you prepare your water, I actually recommend that you put some electrolytes in your water. So, because especially if you're going on a really long bike ride, a lot of my clients are marathoners or long bike riders that go on 100-mile bike rides. Really make sure that you keep on hydrating yourself and drinking fluids. So that's a very important element. And just as a last note, if there's no questions, I want to share with you the beauty of flowers in the spring. This is the first peony that bloomed in my garden just on Saturday night, and I'm super excited to share it with you. And there's another little baby one opening up right there. And then this is a rose from my garden, and I just wanted to share with you one of my hobbies. I love having beautiful flowers. and they also need hydration. But with the drought that we're having, you can't give as much water as we used to be able to give. So I made sure that I covered the ground with lots of mulch so that the plants continue to stay moist even when they don't get as much water, and they're still being beautiful for me. So anyway, I hope you're having a wonderful day, and please pay attention to your levels of hydration as we go through a possibly very dry, hot summer. Thank you so much, and have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.